Hi everyone. I should have known something was off when Amanda started dropping hints about her promotion at work. She'd been talking about her boss, Ethan, a little too much lately. Ethan's a great leader, she'd say, or Ethan says I'm one of the most valuable team members. Sure, I brushed it off. It's normal to be excited about a job, right? But then came her little request, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. It was a regular Friday evening. We'd just finished dinner, and she casually brought it up while sipping her wine. Ethan's been incredibly supportive of me. He even said he sees potential for me to move into a regional director position. That's great, I replied, genuinely proud of her. You've worked hard for this. She hesitated, setting her glass down. There's something I want to ask. Something unconventional. I raised an eyebrow. Unconventional how? Well, she started, her cheeks flushed. Ethan and I have a good working relationship. He's helped me a lot, and he made an unusual suggestion. Something that could solidify our bond and potentially fast-track my career. My stomach twisted. Amanda, what are you talking about? She avoided eye contact. He said, look, just hear me out. He said we could have one night together. Nothing emotional, just physical. And before you freak out, it's not like I want to replace you or anything. It's just a strategic move. I stared at her, trying to process the insanity of what she just said. A strategic move. Are you out of your mind? You're asking me to be okay with this? It's not what you think, she pleaded, her voice rising. It's not about love or betrayal. It's about advancing my career. This could change our lives. I stood up, my chest tightening. So, you're willing to throw away our marriage for a shot at a promotion? You're unbelievable. Don't make this dramatic, she snapped. You've always said you support my ambitions. This was next level. I couldn't believe the woman I'd loved for 8 years was sitting here, treating infidelity like some business negotiation. But then a plan formed in my mind. I looked at her, forcing calm into my voice. Fine, do what you want. Her eyes widened in surprise. Wait, really? Yeah, I said, cold and detached. If this means so much to you, go ahead. She looked relieved, even grateful. Thank you, Caleb. You won't regret this. Oh, but she would. I was already making plans, and Amanda had no idea what was coming. After Amanda floated her absurd proposition and I agreed to it, I spent the weekend planning. I wasn't the type to throw a fit or get into shouting matches. No, I wanted to handle this my way. Cold, calculated, and devastating. On Sunday evening, Amanda packed an overnight bag. It's just for tonight, she said, trying to sound casual. Ethan booked a hotel so we can keep it discreet. I nodded, pretending to be indifferent. Sure, have fun. She hesitated, watching me for a reaction, but I didn't give her one. I just turned back to the game on TV, beer in hand, like it was any other night. Inside, though, I was a storm of rage, humiliation, and grim determination. The moment she walked out the door, I got to work. Earlier that day, I'd rented a storage unit in town. All her clothes, jewelry, photos, and keepsakes were boxed up and hauled there in a frenzy. Every trace of her was stripped from the house. By the time I finished, the place looked like a bachelor pad. Next, I wrote a few emails. The first went to Amanda's family, a polite but blunt note explaining that she decided to explore other priorities, and that our marriage was effectively over. I made sure to attach her text exchange with Ethan, which I'd forwarded to myself from her phone when she wasn't looking. Let them see what kind of person their daughter really was. The second email went to our landlord. I'd found a smaller apartment downtown and was breaking the lease on our current place. Amanda didn't need to know just yet, but she'd figure it out soon enough. Finally, I sent a message to Ethan's wife. Yeah, the golden boy had a family of his own. A lovely wife and 2 kids. If the framed photo on his office desk was anything to go by. I'd seen it at the company Christmas party. I kept my email simple. Subject, thought you should know. Dear Mrs. Whitman, I'm writing to you as a courtesy. Your husband and my wife, Amanda, have decided to spend tonight at the Marriott on 5th Avenue, room 203. I believe you deserve to know what's happening in your marriage. Attached are screenshots of their conversations and confirmation of the hotel reservation. I hit send, imagining the chaos it would cause. By the time Amanda returned the next morning, I was sitting in the kitchen with a cup of coffee, calm and collected. She came in, looking awkward, maybe even a little guilty. "Hey," she said, setting her bag down. "It went fine." "Good," I replied. "I hope it was worth it." She frowned, sensing something was off. "What do you mean?" "Check the closet," I said, sipping my coffee. She hesitated, then walked to our bedroom. A second later, I heard a gasp. "Where's all my stuff?" "Gone," I said, walking in behind her. "Just like you. This house. Not yours anymore. Our marriage. Definitely not yours. I packed up everything you own and put it in storage. The address is on the counter, along with the key. You'll be staying there until you figure out your next move." Her face went pale. "Caleb, you don't mean that." "Oh, I absolutely do," I said, my voice ice cold. "You made your choice when you walked out that door last night. Now you get to live with it." She started to cry, which only fueled my resolve. "I did this for us," she sobbed, "to help us have a better life." "No, Amanda," I said, shaking my head. "You did this for you. And now you don't have a husband, a home, or a shred of my respect." As she tried to sputter out more excuses, her phone buzzed. She glanced at it, and I caught a glimpse of the screen, Ethan's name with a frantic message underneath. "Call me. Now." "Go ahead," I said, pointing to the phone. "I'm sure your boyfriend has plenty to say, considering I sent his wife everything." Her face crumpled as realization dawned. You didn't." "Oh, I did. And you know what else? I'll be telling HR at your company all about this. Let's see how far you get without your golden boy covering for you." She fell silent, her tears drying up as the weight of her choices came crashing down. For the first time in years, I saw Amanda without her smug, confident mask. Just a hollow, broken shell of the woman I used to love. Amanda stood frozen in the bedroom, her face pale as the reality of what I'd done began to sink in. She picked up her phone and started pacing, her hands trembling as she scrolled through the barrage of messages. I leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed, watching her unravel. "You destroyed my life," she hissed, glaring at me with tears streaming down her cheeks. "No, Amanda," I replied calmly. "You destroyed your life. I just made sure the evidence didn't stay a secret." She flinched, as if the words hit her physically. "Do you have any idea what this could do to my career?" "Career? That's your priority right now?" I asked, shaking my head. "You weren't thinking about your career or our marriage when you crawled into bed with Ethan. But don't worry, HR will have all the context they need. I forwarded your texts to them this morning." Her jaw dropped. "You didn't." "Of course I did. Do you think I'd let you and your boyfriend waltz away from this without consequences? You're not just losing me, Amanda. You're losing everything." She stared at me, her anger momentarily replaced by panic. "Caleb, you can't do this. I'll fix it. I'll tell Ethan it was a mistake. I'll quit the job, whatever you want." I scoffed. "Too little, too late. You made your choice, Amanda. And now you're going to deal with the fallout." Later that day, while Amanda holed up in the guest room trying to call Ethan, I made a few more moves to secure my clean break. First, I went to the bank and froze our joint account. She wasn't going to touch another penny of my money. Then, I contacted my lawyer to finalize the divorce papers. Amanda was about to learn what it meant to lose everything. By the time I got home, Amanda was in the kitchen, pale and trembling. Ethan's wife kicked him out, she muttered, staring blankly at the counter. "She's threatening to take the kids and everything." I shrugged, completely unmoved. "Sounds like he's having a rough day." She glared at me. "You think this is funny?" "Not funny," I said. "Just justified." Amanda tried to change her tone, softening her voice. "Caleb, please, we can fix this. I know I hurt you, but we've been through so much together. Don't throw it all away." Her plea was pathetic, almost laughable. "We've been through so much. Amanda, don't lump me into your mess. I didn't throw away years of marriage for one night with my boss. That was all you. But I still love you," she whispered, her voice breaking. "Too bad," I said coldly. "I don't love you anymore." The next morning, Amanda woke up to find her phone buzzing nonstop. It was a mix of work messages and family calls. Her face went white as she read through them. Apparently, Ethan had been forced to resign after his wife forwarded the evidence to his company's board of directors. "I can't believe this is happening," she mumbled, sitting on the couch with her head in her hands. "Believe it," I said from across the room. "Actions have consequences, Amanda. You thought you could control the fallout, but now you're drowning in it." Her phone rang again, and this time it was her boss. She picked up hesitantly, her voice trembling. "Hello?" I could hear the sharp, professional voice on the other end. "Amanda, we need you to come into the office immediately. We've received some concerning information, and we need to discuss your future with the company." Her hands shook as she hung up. "They know," she whispered, staring at me. "How could you do this to me?" I laughed, unable to hide my contempt. "You did this to yourself, Amanda. And now you're going to feel what it's like to lose everything." Later that day, I was packing the last of my things when there was a knock at the door. I opened it to find Ethan, looking like he hadn't slept in days. His face was red, his eyes bloodshot. "Where's Amanda?" he demanded. "Not my problem anymore," I said, stepping aside and letting him into the house. Amanda came running into the hallway, her eyes widening at the sight of him. "Ethan, what are you doing here?" "Trying to salvage what's left of my life," he snapped. "You didn't tell me your husband was a psycho." "I didn't know," she protested. I watched the two of them bicker, feeling nothing but satisfaction. They were perfect for each other, two selfish, backstabbing cowards. Let them destroy each other. Eventually, I cut in. "Ethan, get out of my house. Amanda, your storage unit key is on the counter. Take your circus somewhere else." They both looked at me, stunned. Amanda tried to speak, but I held up a hand. "I'm done. I've already filed for divorce. You can keep your lies, your boyfriend, and whatever scraps of dignity you have left." With that, I turned and walked out, slamming the door behind me. For the first time in years, I felt free. Walking out of that house felt like shedding 1,000 pounds. The air tasted sweeter, my steps felt lighter, and for the first time in years, I wasn't looking over my shoulder, trying to be the perfect husband for someone who didn't deserve me. Amanda and Ethan's pathetic meltdown was now their problem, and I had my own future to figure out. But before I could fully move on, I had one more loose end to tie up, the fallout from Ethan's family. If he thought losing his wife and job was the end of his troubles, he had another thing coming. 2 days later, I got a call from Laura Whitman, Ethan's wife. Her voice was calm, too calm, but there was a sharpness underneath. "Caleb, thank you for the information," she said. "It's given me the clarity I needed." "I'm glad to hear that," I replied. "How are you holding up?" "Oh, I'm fine," she said with an edge of steel. "Ethan's not, though. He's been staying with his brother since I kicked him out, but I think it's time he learns what it's like to lose everything." I didn't ask for details. Laura clearly had a plan, and I wasn't about to get in her way. "If there's anything else I can do—" "There is," she interrupted. "You mentioned Amanda works in marketing, right? Ethan's company is in damage control mode, and they're looking for someone to blame. I'll make sure her name comes up." I didn't bother hiding my grin. "Thanks, Laura. I owe you one." "Don't mention it," she said, her tone icy. "Let's just say we're both making sure they can't run from their mess." Meanwhile, Amanda was floundering. I'd moved into my new apartment downtown, and the house was officially empty. I heard through the grapevine, our mutual friends and her increasingly frantic texts, that she'd been suspended from her job pending an investigation. Ethan's scandal had dragged her into the spotlight, and HR wasn't taking any chances. She called me once, a teary, desperate voicemail that I deleted halfway through. "Caleb, please, I'm begging you, just talk to me. I don't have anyone else. I'll do anything, just please let me fix this." But Amanda wasn't the only one reaching out. Ethan showed up at my apartment one evening, looking worse for wear. His expensive suit was wrinkled, his tie loosened like he'd barely bothered to put himself together. I didn't even give him the courtesy of stepping inside. "What do you want, Ethan?" I asked through the half-open door. "We need to talk," he said, his voice hoarse. "You've ruined everything, man." I leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. "No, Ethan. You ruined everything. I just made sure people knew. You don't understand, he stammered. Laura's freezing our accounts. My career's over. Amanda, she's falling apart. We made a mistake. Okay? But it wasn't supposed to end like this. I couldn't help but laugh bitterly. You made a mistake. That's rich. You slept with my wife, Ethan. Did you think you'd just get away with it? She came to me, he snapped, his frustration boiling over. She wanted this, Caleb. She said you didn't understand her ambitions, that you were holding her back. That stung more than I cared to admit, but I didn't let it show. And you thought you were the answer. Get out of here, Ethan. Go clean up your own mess. He looked at me, defeated, then turned and shuffled away. Watching him slink off was oddly satisfying. A man who thought he had it all, brought low by his own arrogance. A week later, Amanda lost her job officially. I found out through one of her coworkers who still kept in touch. Apparently, the company cited unprofessional conduct as the reason, but everyone knew the real story. She tried texting me again, claiming she needed a place to stay, but I ignored her. Let her figure it out. She'd made her bed. Now she could lie in it. As for Ethan, Laura made good on her promise. He was being dragged through divorce court, and his soon-to-be ex-wife was playing hardball. She'd hired one of the toughest lawyers in the Anne was going after full custody of the kids, the house, and a hefty chunk of his finances. From what I heard, Ethan was living in a dingy rental and drowning in legal fees. As the dust settled, I started focusing on myself. For too long, I'd put Amanda first, sacrificing my own happiness for someone who didn't appreciate it. I took up hiking, reconnected with old friends, and even started dating again. Nothing serious, but it felt good to rediscover who I was without her shadow looming over me. One evening, I got a text from Laura, drinks, my treat. We can toast to freedom. I smiled, typing back, name the time and place. Amanda and Ethan had been the architects of their own destruction, and now they were reaping what they'd sown. Meanwhile, I was building a new life, one free from lies, betrayal, and toxic people. Meeting Laura for drinks felt like the perfect capstone to everything. She chose a cozy wine bar downtown, the kind of place where the ambience was just lively enough to drown out the weight of the conversation. When I arrived, she was already at a corner table, a glass of red in hand. Her sharp green eyes caught mine, and she smiled, a mixture of relief and satisfaction. To freedom, she said, raising her glass as I sat down. To freedom, I echoed, clinking mine against hers. We talked for hours, sharing the absurd, infuriating details of what our respective spouses had put us through. For Laura, it wasn't just Ethan's betrayal but the years of subtle manipulation and his arrogant belief that he could do no wrong. For me, it was the realization that I'd spent years with someone who viewed our marriage as a stepping stone, not a partnership. You know, she said, swirling her wine, I'm not even angry anymore. I feel liberated. I nodded. It's like they thought they'd outsmarted us, but in the end, they outplayed themselves. She laughed, a genuine, warm sound. I guess some lessons come with a steep price tag. Amanda and Ethan, meanwhile, were living out the full consequences of their actions. I heard through mutual acquaintances that Ethan was drowning in debt after Laura's divorce settlement wiped him out. She'd gotten the house, full custody of the kids, and enough alimony to keep her comfortable while he scrambled to make ends meet. Amanda wasn't faring much better. Her job prospects had dried up completely. Word of her affair had spread within her industry, and no one wanted to take the risk of hiring her. She'd been reduced to couch surfing with friends and selling off her designer handbags to cover rent for a studio apartment. Every so often, she'd send me a message, apologies, pleas for help, even attempts to rekindle what we once had. I never responded. One day, though, she sent a text that stood out. I made a mistake. I don't deserve forgiveness, but I wanted you to know that I regret everything. I hope you find happiness, Caleb. For a moment, I felt a pang of something, pity, maybe, but it passed quickly. I'd moved on, and her regret didn't change the damage she'd done. Life after Amanda turned out better than I ever expected. I threw myself into hobbies I'd neglected during our marriage. Hiking became a weekly ritual, a way to clear my mind and focus on the present. I took cooking classes, joined a local trivia league, and even started writing a way to process everything I'd been through. As for Laura and me, we kept in touch. What started as a shared experience of betrayal turned into a genuine friendship. She was sharp, funny, and fiercely independent, a stark contrast to the toxicity we'd both escaped. Over time, that friendship deepened into something more. We weren't rushing into anything, but for the first time in years, I felt like I could trust someone completely. One evening, as Laura and I sat on her patio watching the sunset, she turned to me with a sly grin. "Do you think they ever saw this coming?" "Not in a million years," I said, smiling back. "Ethan and Amanda thought they were so clever. Now they're the ones left picking up the pieces." She raised her glass, the sunset casting a golden glow over her face. "Here's to new beginnings." "To new beginnings," I agreed, clinking my glass against hers. As the sun dipped below the horizon, I felt a sense of closure. Amanda and Ethan had made their choices, and they were living with the consequences. Meanwhile, I was finally free to build a life that was mine, free of lies and betrayal. And as I sat there with Laura, the future didn't feel daunting anymore. It felt full of promise.